The Toymaker's legions are coming, stated showrunner Russell T Davies when talking about Doctor Who's 60th anniversary special, The Giggle, as he teased the show would begin to explore more supernatural threats and villains.
Things seem to be turning more and more supernatural.
He was quoted in the Radio Times as saying, "There have been godlike characters before in Doctor Who, the gods of Ragnarok for example, and other powerful beings who you can decide whether are gods or not. The episodes of RTD2 we have seen so far have already taken a step in this fantasy direction, with the Doctor's Salt Trick in Wild Blue Yonder inviting supernatural threats into our universe, and the Church on Ruby Road seeing an invasion of goblins. But what else might be in store for Davies' new era? He has said that he intends to bring more fantasy elements to the 15th Doctor's adventures, with at least one experimental episode per series. Might we be seeing villains like the aforementioned gods of Ragnarok return? Just who are the Toymaker's legions, and what could a supernatural future for Doctor Who look like? This video is a guide to 10 of Doctor Who's gods and monsters who could be returning to face the Doctor once again. Let's begin in appearance order with the Toymaker himself. In Doctor Who magazine, Russell said about the Toymaker that he is an unashamedly supernatural character. That was built into the original Toymaker. In the 1966 original, he turns people into dolls, he makes them dance on a dance floor, there's an invisible game. He's a magician. Coming from an unexplained dimension outside of our own, the Toymaker is a bored immortal who plays fatal games simply to pass the time. He is an unbelievably powerful villain who possesses the ability to rearrange matter with ease and is bound only by the rules of a game. First seen in 1966 as the Celestial Toymaker battling the First Doctor, the villain was originally portrayed by Michael Gough. It was intended that the Toymaker would return for the show's ill-fated season 23 with the 6th Doctor, but this never came to be. The story would go on to be released as a novel and later a Big Finish audio adaptation where he was played by David Bailey. Bailey would reprise the role twice, once against the 8th Doctor in Solitaire and against the 7th Doctor in The Magic Mousetrap. The character will soon return to Big Finish against the 4th Doctor, where they will be played by Annette Badland. The Toymaker has also appeared in some novels and comics, but it wasn't until 2023 that the character returned to our screens battling the 14th and 15th Doctors, where he was excellently played by Neil Patrick Harris. This story was a great showcase of the extent of the Toymaker's powers. We see him warp and manipulate environments, infect the minds of an entire population, and destroy threats with just a touch. This scene was truly terrifying in showing just how threatening he can be. As he was defeated and folded away into a box, the Toymaker teased that his legions would be coming for the Doctor. Russell said in the Giggles commentary that we would see the box containing the Toymaker again, so might the villain make a reappearance? Neil Patrick Harris needn't even be available, as the character has proved that recasts can work very well. He is, after all, just a face containing a being we will never truly understand. The show might also want to revisit a concept from an unproduced Second Doctor story called The Queen of Time, which sees the Toymaker's sister Hecuba. The story has only ever been released as a Big Finish Lost story, so this might be a fun way to continue to expand the Toymaker's mythos. I, for one, would love to see the character return, as the Giggle proved him to be one of the Doctor's greatest ever threats.
You have been defeated.
We will see, old man. The game is not yet over. We shall see.
Up next is Kronos, first seen in The Time Monster, battling the 3rd Doctor. Kronos is a member of a time-devouring species of creatures known as chronovores, who originate in the time vortex itself. Their powers include reality warping, dimension hopping, time manipulation, mass destruction, and more. Kronos shares his name with the Greek god of time, Kronos, as the alien creature was actually the basis for the god. Kronos was the real Titan who ate his own children, including Poseidon, before being overthrown by Zeus. These fables and tales from Greek mythology are actually based on fact. Kronos was worshipped by the people of Atlantis, but destroyed it during a scheme by the Master. Kronos was last seen in a void where, in female form, she thanked the Doctor for stopping the Master's scheme before he escaped in his TARDIS. Beyond being freed from a crystal where they were once held captive, it is unknown what Kronos' current status is and could return at any moment. However, they might not pose much threat to the Doctor as they were appreciative for his help during the Master's plan. Kronos might not be so happy with the Master though, so the possibility for a rematch between the two may remain. The next godlike villain is the one I personally most want to return, Sutekh, first seen in Pyramids of Mars. Like Kronos comes from Greek mythology, Sutekh comes from Egyptian mythology. Sutekh is an Osiren, a highly advanced telepathic species who were the real-life gods worshipped by ancient Egyptians. He is, perhaps, the most powerful villain the Doctor's ever faced, as he holds the ability to destroy all life in the universe with just a thought.
I am Sutekh the Destroyer. Where I tread I leave nothing but dust and darkness. I find that good.
Sutekh believed all other beings in the universe to be a threat to his power, so wanted them eliminated. After destroying his homeworld, Phaestra Osiris, Sutekh set about a trail of havoc and destruction. Sutekh's fellow Osirians feared his power, so sought to restrict him. His brother, Horus, pursued him across the galaxy until finally reaching Earth, where he and 740 other Osirians were able to imprison him inside a pyramid on the planet Mars. Here, Sutekh was kept alive but dormant, kept within a single chamber where he was able to survive for 7,000 years. Despite a plan using robot mummies to do his bidding and free him from his prison, Sutekh was defeated by the Fourth Doctor as he trapped him within a space-time tunnel. Other than his one and only TV appearance in the Pyramids of Mars, Sutekh has made a few reappearances in expanded media, most notably on Big Finish, where original actor Gabriel Wolfe returned to face off against the Seventh Doctor in The Triumph of Sutekh, and then the Fourth Doctor once again in the two-parter Kill the Doctor and The Age of Sutekh. Though he had ultimately escaped the space-time tunnel in these stories, writer Guy Adams expressed the need to keep Sutekh in a restricted capacity due to his extreme power. And perhaps this is why Sutekh has never returned to screens, because we can never truly see him at full power, as the story would be over within seconds. Having said that, I dare writers to do it. We know Russell T Davies is a big Marvel fan, so why not make Sutekh Doctor Who's very own Thanos? Sutekh at full power could be like Thanos wielding all Infinity Stones. After all, Thanos wiped out 50% of the universe and the Avengers still won. I dare some brave Doctor Who writer to do this on an even bigger scale. Up next are the Black and White Guardians. These characters are odd ones as they are the living embodiment of good and evil in the universe. First seen in the season 16 opener The Reboss Operation, these characters would be major players of that season's arc, The Key to Time. The origin of these characters is largely unknown, with their representation of elemental forces encapsulating many aspects of existence. Their origin can be seen as quite similar to that of the Toymakers, something more abstract and conceptual. The White Guardian first appeared when tasking the Fourth Doctor with finding the Key to Time, an object capable of altering reality, to prevent the Black Guardian from doing so first. We have seen them capable of transmogrification, hypnosis, vast knowledge, time travel and energy transfer. Unlike some of the more powerful beings on this list, however, they do have clear weaknesses. They are closely connected to the Key to Time, so were seen to be dispersed when it was destroyed in the Armageddon Factor. The characters have returned a few times both on screen and off, the most obvious example being during the Fifth Doctor era in the stories Morgan Undead, Terminus and Enlightenment, in which the Black Guardian tried to manipulate companion Turlo into killing the Doctor. They've also returned to Big Finish in the second Key to Time arc, and have also made a few appearances in books also. It's unclear what else might be done with these characters, but there's surely a writer out there somewhere with an idea. Fifth spot on this list goes to a villain that's less godlike and more monster: vampires. Vampires are a weird entity in the Doctor Who universe, as stories like The Vampires of Venice sees the Doctors sceptical of the concept. Yet State of Decay reveals that vampires are one of the Time Lord's oldest enemies, with there being epic tales about ancient wars between the races. Vampires in the Doctor Who universe originate from the Great Vampires, a species that existed during the Dark Times. Since then, there are races of vampire that come from at least 17 inhabited planets in the known universe. Though there are similar species like hemivores or plasmavores who have been compared to the monsters, the deeper you go into expanded media, the more you realise that vampires just straight up exist in the Doctor Who universe. And though this wider material doesn't shy away from exploring vampiric stories, the main show itself just never seems to mention it. Aside from State of Decay, other notable stories to include the villains are novels such as the Fifth Doctor's Goth Opera or the Eighth Doctor's Vampire Science. There are also countless Big Finish adventures to include the classic monsters, including the Project trilogy featuring the 6th and 7th Doctors, several Jago and Lightfoot episodes, and even the lives of Captain Jack. I think that if Doctor Who is truly moving in a more supernatural and fantasy direction like RTD says it is, then vampires should absolutely be in the running for a return. The next spot on this list goes to the Eternals. No, not those Eternals. First appearing in Enlightenment opposite the Fifth Doctor, the Eternals are an incredibly cerebral set of beings, whose power comes purely from thought. They are able to control matter, telepathically communicate or locate other people, and turn mental images into reality. They are called Eternals as they do not experience time in the same way as other people do, and because of this, they do not age. Like Sutekh, they can wield immense power purely through their mind, but unlike Sutekh, their power is not unlimited. Their powers are restricted by great distances or strong-willed people. The Eternals' greatest strength, though, is that they cannot be destroyed, only transferred. They have made a few appearances in expanded media, but their most notable reappearance was in Can You Hear Me, where the 13th Doctor faced Zelin and Rakea. The pair displayed numerous bizarre powers, and their ancients as they watched two planets over the course of millennia, making bets on whose planet could be destroyed first. It can also be inferred that characters such as Josiah Samuel Smith from Ghostlight, or Billis Manger from Torchwood were also Eternals, as their lives spanned infinitely long periods of time. Their appearance in Can You Hear Me almost feels like a precursor to the kind of threats that Doctor Who will be exploring going forwards. The Toymaker is even mentioned in it.
The Eternals have their games. The Guardians have their power struggles. For me, this dimension is a beautiful board for a game. The Toymaker would approve.
And perhaps has already opened the door for the Eternals to return once again. Up next is the one that I think has the highest chance of returning. Not only did Russell T Davies specifically name drop them when talking about the godlike villains of his new era, but the 15th Doctor also made a special reference to them in the giggle. The gods of Ragnarok.
We fought the gods of Ragnarok and we didn't stop for a second to say what the hell.
Making their first appearance in the greatest show in the galaxy opposite the 7th Doctor, the gods of Ragnarok were ancient rulers during the Dark Times. Appearing in a statuesque form, the gods were separated into 3 entities: Father, Mother, and Little Girl. Within their realm, they seek only to make mortals entertain them endlessly. The better the performance, the longer they'll keep them around to entertain. The worse the performance, the quicker they'll be killed. The Doctor claimed that the gods were only interested in endings rather than beginnings. They were able to cross outside of their realm where these entities would become literal, but it is unknown exactly what power they have in this human form. The Doctor was able to defeat them by reflecting an amulet against them, which reversed their power and caused their realm to collapse. But beyond this, not a whole lot is known. Despite the Doctor's claim in the greatest show in the galaxy that he has battled the gods throughout time, they've barely made any appearances in expanded media. Maybe bringing them back to face the 15th Doctor could be the perfect opportunity for a rematch and to show the full extent of their powers. Continuing with another 7th Doctor villain, this place goes to the Destroyer, first seen in Battlefield. The Destroyer was a demon from outside our own time and universe who was summoned by the sorceress Morgaine in her conquest to take over the world. Even Morgaine was hesitant to release the Destroyer as he is regarded as one of the most fearsome demons. He wields the power to destroy matter with energy, as well as being able to teleport. His one and only weakness is silver. Morgaine kept him restricted in silver shackles to prevent him from reaching full power, and he was defeated by the Brigadier, shooting him with silver bullets. The Destroyer was seen bursting into green light at the end of Battlefield, but that doesn't necessarily mean he was destroyed. The Destroyer has been mentioned a few times in comics, but has never returned to battle the Doctor properly. The Doctor has been known to battle demons a few times, so might we see the Destroyer return? Or was he truly defeated by the Brigadier? Only time will tell. Concluding the 7th Doctor theme, this time we have Fenric. Fenric is one of the Doctor's most fearsome enemies, as it is the literal embodiment of evil. Coming from the dawn of time, Fenric was one half of the yin and yang-like elemental forces which created the universe, similar to the Black and White Guardians, but more elemental and godlike. Fenric was a very important villain to the 7th Doctor era, as it was the manipulating force which controlled much of Ace's life. It was said that years ago the Doctor contained Fenric inside a flask to prevent its power, but it was still able to control some others beyond the flask, known as the Wolves of Fenric. These were Norsemen, who Fenric controlled to free itself from the flask. Them and their descendants were all part of the Fenric curse, leading all the way to Ace, who was part of this bloodline. It was Fenric who transported Ace to Iceworld, where she would meet the Doctor and go on their adventures, leading all the way to the events of Season 26's The Curse of Fenric. Here Fenric was finally freed from the flask, and unleashed an army of Hemivores on the surrounding area. The Doctor was able to defeat Fenric by convincing one of its servants into killing the body it inhabited. Fenric's powers are of great evil influence. It likes to entrap people in inescapable bootstrap paradoxes and play grand games. Fenric has made a few reappearances in expanded media, including some books and comics, but most notably is its rematch against the 7th Doctor in the Big Finish stories, Black and White and Gods and Monsters. Fenric is one of the most fan-favourite villains to return to the show and has appeared on countless lists over the years. Its appearance is long overdue, and maybe now is the perfect time for it to return to the show. The final spot on this list goes to the one and only New Who entry, The Beast. First appearing in the series' 2 episodes, The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit, the Beast can be said to be the very creature who inspired the idea of Satan himself. The Beast claimed that all cultures who depict evil as a horned demon were inspired by him. Imprisoned on a planet orbiting a black hole, the Beast was said to be a being that originated from before the universe, an idea that the Doctor struggled to comprehend.
What did before time mean?
Before time and light and space and matter, before the cataclysm, before this universe was created.
That's impossible. No life could have existed back then.
Is that your religion?
Little is known about what the Beast was able to do before his imprisonment, but while Torchwood are based on the planet, he was able to control the minds of their Ood and caused them to kill members of the crew. He also infiltrated comms systems to speak directly to the crew, highlighting their fears, anxieties and secrets to scare and panic them. If the Beast truly is the real devil, we can only imagine the true extent of his powers are the same as Satan. The Beast has made a few scattered reappearances in short stories, but it is assumed that the Beast was killed when the planet was pulled into the black hole at the end of the Satan Pit, though his son, Abaddon, made an appearance in the Torchwood episode End of Days, as he terrorised Cardiff. Ncuti Gatwa has stated that the Beast is one of his favourite Doctor Who villains, with the series 2-parter being some of his favourite episodes. So might we see what happened next for him after entering the black hole? I could definitely see the Beast making a return, especially seeing as the last time a Doctor requested a monster return, it was Peter Capaldi asking for the Mondasian Cybermen, and we all saw how that turned out. Lastly, an honourable mention must go to the One Who Waits, a threat mentioned by the Toymaker in The Giggle. We know very little about who this could be. All that Russell has said is that it is not the Master. Besides that, it could be anyone, a new villain, or maybe someone or something that has already been mentioned on this list. There are several other monsters that could be theorised as being godlike or supernatural, such as the demons, the Mandragora Helix, the Fendal, werewolves, the Trickster, the Minotaur, Akaten, and more, but the 10 included here are arguably the most notable. Maybe the villains coming in RTD2 will all be brand new and can be added to this ever-growing pantheon of threats, but we will have to wait and see. Which of these would you most like to see return? I know Sutekh is the one I want most, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time.